Hello, everybody. Welcome back at last to the Mindcrack server. It's been a while. I think I only need 3 more. Right? Can we confirm that's true? Let's hope. So that's part of the game plan today. This bothers me. Get out of here, leaves. You are not welcome. Of course, just fill up my inventory, why don't you? But welcome to the Mindcrack server. You guessed it, we still gotta finish ancient debris mining. Still gotta do that. Then we can move on to... Someone just fucking suffocate to death? And then right when that happened, the car alarm went off outside. Anyway. Today, we are going to talk about... Before I forget too much, 2 of the greatest works of fiction ever. Heavy spoilers inbound for both. You have been warned, and both are extremely worth watching. So don't watch this video, basically. This video is for J-Loose only. But even he hasn't seen Dune. But I mean, Dune's a little different because, I mean, Dune's a book. It's been around for almost 60 years, so the statutes of limitations on Dune are a little different. But Attack on Titan just wrapped up much more recently. So yeah, so let's talk about the Attack on Titan journey. I remember hearing about this like ages ago, and I always assumed Attack on Titan because, you know, Japanese has a thing where they like don't do plurals in places we do plurals. If this makes sense. Like, there's this movie, The Edge of Tomorrow, starring Tom Cruise. It was famously didn't do that great at the box office. It was like a very good movie. Based on a Japanese manga, probably an anime at some point. Because what manga isn't an anime? I'm sure there are examples. Bad mangas. Like the one I'd probably write. So, and they made the title Edge of Tomorrow, and some people thought it was a bad title. Now people kind of call the movie Live, Die, Repeat. But some people are like, oh, let's use the Japanese title, which is All You Need Is Kill. But All You Need Is Kill does not make that much sense. What do you mean All You Need Is Kill? That's because Japanese doesn't really do plurals the same way. Anyway, long story short is I thought Attack on Titan was people on the Saturn's moon of Titan. I think that was a reasonable assumption. That'd be kind of sick. Anyway, it's not. But Attack on Titan, and especially its ending, which I'm going to talk about, became, I think, one of the finest works of fiction ever made. Hold on, let me try and pronounce his name exactly right. Hajime Isayama, who's only 37 years old, by the way. I mean, started writing Attack on Titan in his 20s. Created one of the finest works we have ever seen in the history of fiction. So, and then I'm going to talk about how that ties into Dune, and Dune 2, movie of the year, which I will discuss shortly. So basically, I talked a lot about kind of going through the full storyline with J-Loose. So if you want to do that, do it, go over it then. But this is the only animated I've ever seen, and can't imagine anything would be better than this. I don't know what I probably... People say that Evangelon is really cool and has a lot of like biblical allusions and things like that are kind of my shit. So that'd probably be where I'd look to next. But and it's also funny Attack on Titan because I do think it's fantastic. I need to rewatch the whole thing now because I haven't seen season 1 in 6 years or so. So and I kind of got fuzzy on the details of what was in season 2 versus 3. Seasons are kind of weird. But seasons 1 and 4 are like a lot longer. Anyway. So essentially, the story of Attack on Titan, you start out with there's a bunch of we think all of humanity lives behind giant walls to keep them safe from the giant 20-foot tall naked, although they don't have genitals, thank God, humans that are outside the walls that are they just run riot and eat people. They don't communicate or anything. They just eat. Nom nom nom. So that's part of it. Sorry, I've still got coughing. My mom said that coughing could be caused by allergies. Like I've got a nasal drip in my throat. Maybe that's true. It sort of makes sense because I don't really feel sick at all. But anyway, yes, that's the premise. And at the beginning, we meet the 3 main characters when they're kids. Eren, a boy, Eren, Eren. For some reason, most of the characters are portrayed as like German. I don't know. His best friends Armin and his adopted sister / love interest Mikasa. Wow, fuck you. Yeah, I hit you with my bow. Where'd you even come from? I don't know. So, the outermost of the walls falls to the Titans. In order to get revenge, they manage to be survivors. They join up with the Scouts, who are a branch of the military that are trying to like investigate about the Titans, and they have an extremely high fatality rate. But several incredibly epic reveals later, it turns out the story of Attack on Titan is about generational trauma and genocide. So here's the important parts. 2,000 years ago, a girl in a farmer village. Also, all the technology is all like variously medieval at first, and then we later learned that more people have have reached like World War I levels. As I said, don't go that way. Been so long, I don't remember where I was last blasting. Yeah, so various people have reached World War I levels of technology. So 2,000 years ago, so we're talking real, peasants, medieval. This girl was chased down and scapegoated by her village to an evil king. And she found a power, a mysterious, never fully explained power that allowed her to transform into a giant titan. And the king then used her forced her to be his wife and used her power to become an evil king controlling more of the land. And eventually her power got split between 9 titans. And only her descendants can access this power. Okay? Yeah, there's a lot of complicated stuff going on here. So, eventually, after like 2,000 years of her descendants using those powers to be evil dictators, one king felt bad about it, and they were called Eldians. Her name was Ymir. So, yeah, they're called the Eldians. And this king allowed... Shouldn't go here, too much Blackstone. A previously oppressed country, Marley, to subjugate a lot of the Eldians and allow them to basically blackmail and control the power of the Titans, because he thought it was, a generational injustice had been granted to them. So now the Eldians basically live in very much like, Nazi-esque concentration camps with armbands. Oh, Lord, have mercy. Oh, no. Okay. I might die. I couldn't place this ancient debris block. I will definitely die, but I'll die right here. That was particularly bad luck, I think. I've never had it before where I just got sucked into lava like that. Didn't have blocks on the bar. That'll always get you. That's fine. I don't care about my levels. Ender can sort that. It was a long walk. Anyway, to continue my story. I think I did see ancient debris in there, though. The Eldians are now these oppressed people. But the king also took a bunch of Eldians to inside the walls. Okay, these are all the people inside the walls. Again, if you're watching this, you haven't watched Attack on Titan. I mean, I'm sorry for you. Because it's genuinely, like, it's unfathomable. It's incredible. It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible storytelling. Yes, the king took some Eldians to an island to put them behind the walls, and left a bunch of inert titans that actually formed the walls, that just immovable titans, and he wiped everyone's memories. He said, "Hey, just let us live in peace, okay? All we want to do is just live in peace, and we won't bother you because we won't know about you." And it turned out it was Marley that was turning people into pure titans, is what they're called, and sending them to, dropping them off on the island just to fuck with them. But the threat was, if you ever fuck with us, all those inert titans will trigger something called the rumbling, where they will literally just stomp the rest of the world and kill everybody else on the planet. If you picked up my shit, I'm gonna be mad. Thank God you did not. Everything's gonna be all messed up in my inventory. Yes, it was like, we will begin the rumbling and, cause hell to reign across the land if you come fuck with us. So eventually, once the people living inside the walls learn about this truth, they try to figure out a way that they could broker peace. And everybody's trying to figure out a way to prevent this. One guy thinks that the only solution is euthanization. Stop every Eldian from ever having children, so nobody else can inherit the power of the Titans. No more Titans. Excuse me, jeez. That's a three-banger. I think this will indeed be our last Ancient Debris episode, to the delight of everyone. So, that plan is enacted, and we think that that is what's going to happen. But, no. So, Aaron, over all this time, his anger, he's seen so many of his friends, I mean, lots of people die because of Marley and the country that's now, and what he saw were the traitors, the Eldian family who gave the power to Marley because they felt bad. That he thinks that there can never be peace in our time. And through various means, he activates the rumbling. And it's such a very bold thing, because Aaron is the main character of the show. He is the protagonist. He's the guy we're supposed to root for. And over the course of the final season, we see him slowly lose it. And slowly turn into a villain because of his anger, and turn into this genocidal maniac who wages a massive war. And it turns out that 2,000 years ago, that woman Amir, when she was forced into being a slave, that she developed kind of a Stockholm Syndrome love for that evil king, and was still essentially serving him as a slave because she thought that's what love looked like after all this time. So in the end, she sees that Mikasa is finally able to do what she has to do and kill her, supposedly her true love, Aaron, to save the planet. And once she does that, that is the end. They manage to destroy the power of the Titans for good. So there's no more, Eldians being put in concentration camps, essentially, because the Titans are no more. So already this is a massive... It's so well done over time. Like, you want to still root for Aaron, and you see it all go wrong. And at the end, after he's dead, the characters have memories of conversations he had with them where they wiped his brain, or he admits he truly did want to kill them all, but then he was able to see the future. And in this future, he found no way to... He got caught in like a destiny trap. This not to like excuse his... excuse me, his actions at all. They don't. But Aaron felt like this was the only way. And by the end, he kills 80% of all of humanity. Yeah. So let's bring up Dune. It's the same day I watched the Attack on Titan finale. I also watched Dune 2. And let me tell you, what happens in Dune, you might ask. In Dune, I won't talk about Dune as much, but Paul Atreides played by Timmy Chalamet, of course. He wants his family is temporarily given control of the planet Arrakis, which has the most valuable resource in the universe, spice, because it's what allows for transportation. But it also allows people to see into the future. This is that's actually also how people do transportation. But anyway, bear with me. So he's a prince of a noble house called House Atreides, and they're essentially given Arrakis as a ploy by the Emperor, because he knows that the House Harkonnen will be mad and they'll attack and destroy House Atreides, which they immediately do. House Harkonnen is the reason the Emperor does this, anyways, because House Atreides might be more popular than him. Well, everybody fucking hates the Harkonnens, so he needed to eliminate a potential threat to the throne. So anyway, and well, Aaron is not specifically like created to be a messiah for various reasons. Paul is supposedly also the Kwisatz Haderach, who is like a godlike super being engineered over thousands of years by genetic manipulation by a sect of female priests. Anyway, so once this happens, Paul links up with the indigenous people of the planet Arrakis, who are known as the Fremen, and the Fremen are very eager to get rid of all the outsiders who come and are subjugating their planet for wealth. But what Paul sees with his future sight visions is he sees if he does this and does the war that the Fremen want and fulfills their prophecy to become this Messiah, what's going to happen? But billions of people across the galaxy are going to starve and die because they're going to disrupt. I assume, I don't know exactly what happens in Dune Messiah, the second book, but I assume this happens because, you know, it's a war, and also because it destroys the interstellar economy. Because people can no longer travel and transport goods because they're holding the one thing that makes that possible hostage. Yes, there are no computers or AI in Dune. So it's the same kind of thing. Like Paul, Aaron also, they're actually very similar characters. It's truly amazing. It's hard not to think that there's maybe some Dune inspiration here. Trust me, there's a lot in Attack on Titan that is not Dune, but what ends up happening to Aaron feels very close to Mr. Atreides. So he sees that he goes on this path, and eventually, you know, he takes the plunge because he feels like he's pressured into it and has no other choice. And the Fremen are so excited because they think this Messiah has come here to deliver them. And, you know, little do they know this. They literally call it a jihad. There's a lot of Arabic Islamist terminology, not like a negative way, just like the Fremen are given a lot of Arabic influence. So Frank Herbert is an interesting guy. But anyway, it's so, these are two both staggering works. Like Dune 2 is a masterpiece, Attack on Titan is a masterpiece. And I think what it shows is that war can never be an alternative towards trying for peace, right? Like the only good war is a defensive war. There's never a good aggressive war. Like, yeah, it's really cool and badass when the Fremen and everybody attack the Emperor because you know the Emperor sucks and the Harkonnens are awful. But, you know, what are they... You know, you feel like those characters get what they justly deserve. But is this really going to be a better future for the Fremen? I mean, I think, spoiler alert, the answer is no. Okay, well, let me rephrase this. I think at some level the Fremen definitely were justified in attacking the Harkonnens. And driving not at some level. I think they were, because if you're being oppressed, then at that point, like, that's a defensive war to get your rights back. But, you know, what's the Fremen's plan? Is it to establish themselves on Arrakis and then help, you know, negotiate spice production, since it's their world? In some way, no. It's just a global crusade of vengeance, just like the rumbling that Aaron unleashes. You know, I think once he killed, you know, a little bit of the world, I think everybody would have gotten the message. But he, you know, now he was on this path, and on some level, both him and Paul were too weak to avoid it. And, you know, you see, you know, it's awesome when Timmy does the knives up and yells, "Long live the fighters," and it's, you know, you think Aaron's this massive, mass murdering guy, and you wonder how he could possibly be weak. But I'm telling you, he is weak. Because he was unable to find a better way. And, you know, you look throughout history, everybody will agree that World War II was fought by the Allies for the right reasons, to prevent totalitarianism, you know, the Civil War in America for the right reasons. Those are things that, you know, had to be done. But you look at other things like the invasion of Vietnam or the invasion of Iraq, and can't help but wonder, you know, don't think many good accomplished there. You also look at people getting their rights back. What were eventually some of the most successful movements? Martin Luther King and Gandhi spring to mind, right? Now, there have been other successful revolutions, but how many revolutions end with somebody just as bad in charge, right? You can, you know, see that in Cuba, where the Castros overthrew an awful dictator, and, well, weren't that great in response. So, you know, it's often, I think, the courage, you know, think of people marching on Selma and things like that to show power and nonviolence. And look where genocide, slaughter, and murder get people. You know, they're both, like, similarly aged, you know, young guys in their 20s, filled with justifiable rage at a world that has oppressed them and taken so much for them. But you look at the carnage that's left in its wake, and it's a tragedy. Like, Attack on Titan is a tragedy. You know, the people who we thought were the original bad guys, who were the Titan shifters, who were leading the Titans, it turns out that they were just pawns being forced to try and help their family on the other side by an evil government. So, it's tough. Thank God this item doesn't disappear. Before we get rid of it forever, let us... Let's admire its netherite blockiness. Ha-hiya tabiya Lisan al-Gaib. Oh, it's chonky. Ooh. Ooh. They got that chonk. Mmm. And dense. Okay. How to make a lodestone again? Lodestone. Chiseled stone bricks. Come on. Come on. Yay, lodestone. But then I want to... So, I heard before I watched the Attack on Titan finale that, surprise, surprise, there are people out there who hated it. Some, it turns out, hated it just because they were fascists. Some weren't able to accept the giant, turn from the protagonist becoming, the most vicious, evil murderer in human history. Which, I get it. It's a leap. It's a leap. Made a smithing table? Probably at some point. Is it here? That is not looking likely. But here's... Yeah, some people are mad that Eren didn't end up with Mikasa or whatever. Think that ship sailed, buddy. When he did the whole genocide. So, but then here's... Hold on. I'm gonna do a big one, alright? Okay. Here's where it gets really crazy. Nope, I hadn't. It gets absolutely nutty. I mean, yeah, I could put in a trim, but I'm not going to at this stage. Is this not how you do this no more? Oh yeah, you need... Shit. Sakana Ren's obsidian. I forgot about that. You need lots of diamonds. Netherite upgrade template. Honey, where's my netherite upgrade template? Crap! I mean, is it reusable? I don't want to get rid of it. This was, you know how hard this was to find? Listen, I'm getting close to finishing this off, alright? Okay. It also requires a piece of netherrack. No? It needs to be like that. Okay. Dang it, Bobby! will it also... I mean, I should really go fresh with all of these, should... Oh. Out with the sword! Oh, I just made this helmet. Alright, I can't do more. I can't do more. Well, that means I have to go strip mining for more diamonds. Which is fine. But I don't feel like doing it today. Especially after just doing all my ancient debris mining. Actually, let's make sure to math on that. Because I need still to do pickaxe, shovel, hoe. So I still need to do 6 more. I think I'm good. Yeah, 6 more. And I have 7. So we have more than enough. That's just something I'm forgetting. Man, they did make it a hell of a lot more expensive, didn't they? Okay. Yeah, I forgot about the netherite upgrade. Remember how many deaths I had to get that out of that bastion? How many suicide runs before I could slam it in an ender chest? That was a good episode. Not really. So for me, let's talk about the most awe-inspiring and beautiful. So after Attack on Titan, after all these great episodes and incredible characters and mystery reveal after reveal and huge epic fights and seriously, you know, hold your breath action scenes, some of the best action I've ever seen. Forget that it's animated. I mean, edge of your seat stuff, excitement, incredibly developed characters, an incredibly rich and developed story that keeps revealing more and it always makes more sense. Truly a masterwork. What happens when the credits start rolling? One of, I think, the best Doctor Who episodes is when the last time we've seen the Doctor's wife, River Song. They keep meeting out of order. And ever since the Doctor met her, the first time the Doctor met her, she died. But, you know, he kept meeting her again and again. And, you know, and he had to hide that from her. And eventually he meets her. And they're able to spend 24 happy years together. And the screen says they lived happily ever after. But we all know that nobody lives happily ever after. Because we all die. And the best we can do is then what stays up on the screen at the end, where it says they lived happily. So eventually, Aaron's friends, who, you know, they were still his friends, even though he killed 80% of the world, they bury him under his favorite tree. And as the credits roll, we see little montages of the tree. We see Mikasa and her eventual husband visiting, all from very distant in the background, the grave. And in the background, we see the city near them continue to grow. And then eventually Mikasa dies, and we see her funeral, and she's buried there. We see Armin as a very old man, and then he disappears. Oh my gosh. Okay. We see Armin as a very old man, and he disappears. And the tree grows bigger and bigger, and the roots swallow up the grave, and the city becomes a metropolis with technology we've never seen the show before, looking like New York City. This isn't even a major city. This was their outlying city, their home, and it's a huge, massive fortress of skyscrapers, and it's been hundreds of years, maybe thousands of years. And then we see missiles fall and the city is nuked. And some people wondered, they're like, what was it all for? What do you mean? You know, it just means that the fight never stops. There's never a peaceful resolution. You may be thinking, that's such a depressing note to end on. Thousands of years, humanity loses the war against its better impulses. But it's not how it ends. Because we see, youngish boy, probably 20 years old or so, wandering through the now overgrown ruins of the city. Life has survived. And he reaches the now massive tree where Aaron was buried. And 2,000 years before the main show, and maybe, 4,000 years before, by the time this boy lives, we don't know for sure, we saw the cave that Ymir went into, and she discovered the power of the Titans that ended up leading to, all the suffering and pain and misery. And an interesting note is she was being chased by dogs, but this boy has a dog with him as his companion, and he gets to the cave. Well, what we see in Aaron's tree has now grown a new cave that looks the exact same, as if to say that the power has returned. But it was Ymir's mind that she conceived of her. She wanted to become a Titan to protect herself. Oh my God! Come on, I gotta get through the story. But what we don't know is what this boy wants. What's this boy going to do? What's his future? What will he choose? And I think it's a hopeful note. It's a note that maybe after all the suffering, that one day we could potentially find peace from the suffering of the world. And that to me is a staggering, thought-provoking, and monumental endings I've ever read in fiction. So hats off to Iwasama. I can't even say his name right. Iwasama, you created, I think, a work, a story that will truly stand the test of time. So, bravo to Denis Villeneuve and all the people behind Dune 2. That movie slaps. Go see it. So, that's it for me, y'all. Let's see what happened in the year 913, shall we? Okay. Ooh, we got some choices. On June 6th, I like June 6th, Emperor Alexander III dies of exhaustion while playing polo, like horse polo. Damn. Okay. His 8-year-old nephew, Constantine VII, a son of the late Emperor Leo VI, takes the throne. A Byzantine general tries unsuccessfully to usurp the throne. He is killed, and his head is cut off and presented to the 8-year-old kid. Cool! Caliph Abdullah al-Mahdi Billah of the Fatimid Caliphate replaces the unpopular governor. But the Sicilian lords find this unacceptable and decide to declare independence of Sicily. And a whole bunch of shit happens. Also, Pope Anastasius III dies and is succeeded by Lando. Pope Lando. Hell yeah. So, there you go. All right, everyone. Good night. And Don't genocide 80% of the planet. See you next time.